All right, hi Robert, an MCP man. We're gonna talk today a bit about this technical jargon more for the business peoples. Well, if you can start with some kind of reward example of like what is MCP? Why should e-commerce leaders care? Because they originated from DevTools in Anthropic, but it has a tremendous impact on business.
Yeah, so the MCPs is basically it's like an API, which is a standard, which is it's like a standard API. However, developer can access some tools you can put in public. So, for example, if you're an e-commerce shop and you have some products and you want to make them searchable for AI, which is basically could be in the future ChatGPT, Claude, or some custom tools like Cursor, I don't know. You can just basically open this API to the world so that the users can connect, let's say, from their Claude to your e-commerce shop and search for the items they want. So usually how I search for something, I go to ChatGPT and I'm like, hey, can you find me shoes which are like black, but they're cheap and they're made out of leather? And there's like a lot of criteria. And most of the time, I will not be able to find anything good on Google. But if you kind of create an MCP, AI can make a lot of requests to your server, get the results back, analyze them, make more requests until it finds the relevant ones. So it's like a layer for an e-commerce shop to be open for LLMs. So to give some context, a lot of traffic right now is already coming from the LLMs to the website. Like a source instead of the Google. Now ChatGPT is becoming the leading source, and in the future, I believe it's going to be MCPs.
Now we discuss like the future where somebody would go through the chat GPT inside your product database on your e-commerce, but more
Yeah.
closely related to current challenges is that somebody is implementing AI in customer service responses and so on. So can MCP be helpful right now?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, and I gave it like a lot of thoughts. And the answer is like extremely simple, and it's that the current providers like Intercom or like any other things you can install on your website to give the support they will integrate MCPs to make it better. So, for example, you'll probably be able to integrate to the chat base Stripe really soon with an MCP server, and MCPs is basically I don't exactly believe it's going to be helpful for the e-commerce. I believe it's going to be helpful for the services e-commerce uses. So it's going to be installed on the layer e-commerce will not exactly see, but I believe it's just going to go a little bit faster. So for example, previously you will have to kind of do this Stripe integration all by yourself. And now because there is an MCP, which is an open source version, you can integrate Stripe really easily. And for example, the service I'm using like is in Intercom. It will integrate Stripe connection much faster. And I believe because MCPs is like an open protocol, at some point you will be able to integrate your own API as a API inside your customer service support tool. So it's kind of opening the market for you to kind of, for example, update your own CRM instead of like updating only the predefined APIs or connectors. So it's
Okay,
like,
so does it mean that brands who build their own intelligence engine will have a greater control over what the external services are using?
I believe they'll have better flexibility because most of the providers, I believe, are going to adopt MCPs really soon, and they'll just have greater flexibility. And because there's going to be greater flexibility, there could be new tools coming up, competitors to the Intercom, which could be just purely based on MCPs. I think this is actually a really likely option. Someone will just create a tool exactly like a chat base and make it fully end-to-end open source and under an MCP, and it's going to be just as good as the current version.
Got it. Got it. So is it from like a business wins perspective? Can you, while implementing MCPs right now, you mentioned that it's gonna be much faster. So is it just a cost saving, or does MCP also have some potential on improving customer satisfaction or improving revenue, or is it purely like for the dev teams to be more efficient?
Let's say the dev teams are going to be definitely more efficient with this. I think the customer satisfaction, even like from my side, will be definitely improved if I'll just have, like, for example, one button API call in the interface to make a Stripe refund, or one button in the interface to give this customer more credits and connect my own API. Because what I wish right now is that if I could go to my chat support manager and there's going to be just like a button with all the available functions I can use. And the functions meaning, for example, give this customer a refund. add him credits, check his recent activity and show me like what was his history and why, like how did he come to the stage he's at, and what were his recent events in the analytics tools like PostHog. And all of this is like, I believe is purely custom, and there's like almost infinite number of connections you can have there. And there is no way those tools eCommerce is currently integrate, there is no way they will be able to create custom connectors by all of them by themselves. So the MCPs are basically solving this issue when I have something custom, which is not like on Zapier or which is not a common tool, but like my custom tool.
So in the enterprise world, it means that if most of your logic is customized, because you buy Salesforce Commerce Cloud and then you customize everything. You have your CDP, customer data platform, and then you modify it with the agency or with your internal tech team. So it means that you're not standardized. So without the MCP, it would be really hard for AI to understand what you have underneath, right?
Yes, I believe like, for example, I heard the use case with the Salesforce, and it's like, if you're, for example, in the banking area or like you're a really developed enterprise, there is a lot in there. And it's not like, there is no way anyone will create a connector for this until you're like an enterprise customer of their tool and they will have a developer team build this. But there is a reality where your dev team will just build a simple MCP API, which is like super easy to do. And you can just connect, for example, your custom version of the Salesforce to any other platform you're using for like e-commerce, like backend. And the customer satisfaction will just grow because you'll just get responses faster, team will get more efficient. You will not feel directly, but you will just feel the better response timelines.
Okay, got it. And okay. And so if you just, your opinion is that you just have to do it. How would you start? If you're an internal team, let's say you need a better customer experience as a CMO for your customer support chatbots, or you're a CTO who is, on an enterprise tech stack. How would you advise them to even think about it? How would you make a use case for it? How do you even start?
Yeah, so I would answer to this like this way. I would pick the three top highest ROI, top three features they would need. And maybe it's going to be something like Stripe refund. Maybe it's going to be Salesforce update straight from your interface. Maybe it's going to be, I don't know, deliveries shipment update with a DHL MCP connector. And you just hear those frequently. And once you hear, like, once the counter of the problem gets after some certain number, you just like, okay, this is like a recurrent problem. A lot of people have it. Okay, there is an MCP for this, or like there could be easily created an MCP for this. Let's create this. So I would start like this. This is the most flexible, dynamic approach I would take.
And so if you translate it to the internal teams where you work in an enterprise, and you don't really need to talk about different vendors, can you also do something as a CTO? You would just encourage your teams inside your internal applications to use an MCP. Is it also a viable option, or is it just when you talk with external third-party providers?
So I personally already like came up with my opinion that you don't need MCPs until you need someone else to use your services. Because to be honest, like you can have your own, like if you're owner of all of your APIs and microservices as a CTO, I don't think there is actually a direct need for you to like implement MCPs per se, because you're more flexible with your own architecture almost at any point in time.
But if you go to the origins of MCP, where people were just copying and pasting, I think it was about the artifacts inside the Claude, and the DevRel teams were copying and pasting the same component over and over again. And they did it as an internal tool for Anthropic, right?
If it's not going to be kind of exposed to an external world, I think like just simple function calling and microservices could actually do the job. And I would just try to avoid it. Like it's like an additional dependency. And as a CTO myself, I cannot say that I like dependencies.
Okay, so then to sum up, if you would like to expose your product database, your loyalty schema, whatever it is, from within your commerce platform to the outside world, like be it for the faster connection with Stripe, for customer service chatbots, or for the future interfaces like shopping inside Perplexity, shopping inside ChatGPT, then you should invest in MCP. Otherwise, all too good word stays as is, and there is no magic formula for it.
Yeah, I actually think that's the That's my current opinions. Maybe they will change, but based on my experience, it almost makes it didn't make sense for me or anyone I've talked to integrate MCPs just as an internal tool end to end.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is that CTOs often says right now that they would like to build an intelligence layer that would serve the multiple purposes. So if the AI layer knows your product database, it can be used on the modules on the product detail page. It can be used on a customer support chatbot interface, but it can also be used as a, let's say, recommendation engine or as a search. And those are different teams that are working on it. So I was under the impression that exposing the MCP of your intelligence layer inside an enterprise would make the teams within your organization to don't need to rethink the whole intelligence layer. That was my understanding.
Yeah, if you formulate it like this, where it is getting exposed, so it's like an external tool, like internal external tool, because it's internal inside the organization, but external outside of the team.
Yeah.
Well, then it definitely makes sense because no one likes to deal with any other people's code, and it sucks to basically, I don't know, check what other team has made and try to adapt to them. And if it's like being exposed to other teams, then it definitely makes sense.
Okay, so then I will rephrase it. If you're a CTO and you're building the intelligence layer and you know that different teams are gonna use it, be it in CDP platform, be it in customer service, be it your agency that's coming to work on your recommendation engine and so on, then it definitely makes sense to expose them to the intelligence layer that you've already built.
Yeah, I would say that's good. Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Robert. How can people find you and tell us what you're building?
Yeah, so people can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Robert Lukoszko, and on Twitter. It's exactly the same name. I'm building currently the AI marketing agent, which helps people find the influencers. And at the moment, we have a couple of big enterprise clients who are basically finding a lot of people to promote their products. Most of those products are currently kind of classified in the segment of like developer tools, really focused on the tech part, maybe some digital tools, so like eCommerce marketplaces. And they're basically using us to find all the influencers which will be available to promote their products and match the criteria.
Okay, before they cost you $1 million per post.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like micro influencers, non-influencers, that's our target.
In a specific domains, in a specific niches. So like in beauty, you have somebody who's, exposed to Korean beauty cosmetics, and as a beauty brand, you can find them. And
yeah, so for example, like we have the best search in the world like currently at the YouTube, where you can just say, for example, find me channels who discuss MCPs, who have topics about AI agents, and we're gonna check that every single channel basically whether they match the criteria, and we return to you only the full matches.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Cool. See you later.